What if I told you that one of the world's most loved ice cream brands started in an abandoned gas station with no business plan, no industry experience, and just $12,000? And what if I told you that this same company proved you don't have to choose between profits and principles? This is not just the story of ice cream. This is the story of Ben & Jerry's, a story about friendship, fun, failure, values, and building a business that stayed human while growing big. Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield met in high school. They were friends, but very different. Ben was impulsive, idealistic, restless. He hated authority, dropped out of college, and could only focus deeply on things he truly believed in. Jerry was more methodical, good at academics, curious, grounded. He wanted to be a doctor, but didn't get into medical school and ended up working as a lab technician. Life didn't go exactly as planned for either of them, and sometimes that's exactly where the best stories begin. In 1977, with no clear future ahead, they decided to do something together. They didn't ask, what's the safest option? They asked, what would be fun? They considered many ideas. Almost all of them involved food. Finally, they landed on ice cream, not because they were experts, not because they saw a huge market gap, but because they liked ice cream. They spent $5 on an ice cream making course. $5. Then they chose Vermont, not because it was ideal, but because warmer cities already had competition. They scraped together $4,000 from the bank, $4,000 from Ben, and $4,000 from Jerry. That's how Ben & Jerry's began, with $12,000 and a lot of hope. Their first store opened in 1978 inside an old abandoned gas station. It was messy, it was unfinished, it was funky, but it was theirs. They learned everything by doing: how to make ice cream, how to fix machines, how to deal with customers, how to survive winter when sales dropped. They ran promotions not from textbooks, but from imagination. Ice cream eating contests, outdoor movies, winter discounts based on temperature, and eventually, Free Cone Day. Free Cone Day wasn't a marketing trick, it was just generosity. That one idea still exists today. But here's the truth most people miss. Even with good sales, they were losing money. At one point, they closed the store for a day just to figure out whether they were making money. They weren't. They had double the expected sales, but no profits. They survived on leftover crepes and melted ice cream. They paid themselves almost nothing. They reinvested everything. Yet they never stopped giving back. This wasn't strategy, it was instinct. Everything changed when Ben had an idea. What if we sell ice cream in pints? Nobody was really doing that at scale. They printed their own faces on the lids, added a money-back guarantee, and proudly called it Vermont's Finest. Sales exploded, from 35 accounts to over 200. Soon they were wholesaling, franchising, expanding. Growth was fast, sometimes too fast. They were constantly short of cash, space, and systems. But the brand was alive. As Ben & Jerry's entered bigger markets, they faced big competitors. The biggest was Häagen-Dazs, backed by Pillsbury. When Pillsbury tried to block their distribution, Ben & Jerry's didn't quietly fight in court, they fought in public. They ran ads asking, "What's the doughboy afraid of?" They turned a corporate fight into a story of two small guys versus a giant. They won the case, but more importantly, they won hearts. Sometimes, being authentic is the strongest form of marketing. Ben & Jerry's didn't treat social responsibility as charity, they treated it as core business. They introduced donating 7.5% of pre-tax profits to social causes, fair pay structures, community hiring, ethical sourcing, environmental packaging. They called it linked prosperity. The idea was simple: if the company grows, employees and communities should grow too. This created tension. Not everyone agreed, mistakes were made, but something remarkable happened. None of these values hurt profits. In fact, they strengthened loyalty, culture, and trust. As the company grew, Ben & Jerry's faced a hard truth. Founder energy isn't enough. Systems lagged behind growth. Communication broke down. Employees felt disconnected. The founders loved joy, fun, and ideas. Managers needed structure and predictability. This clash was painful.
Eventually, they created a formal mission statement, balancing product, people, and profits. And they did something rare. They talked openly with everyone. Real conversations, real alignment. That saved the company's soul. This story isn't about ice cream. It's about starting before you're ready, learning while moving, staying playful under pressure, and refusing to separate work from values. Ben & Jerry's proves that you can build something successful without becoming someone you don't like. You don't need perfect plans. You need purpose, courage, and consistency. Ben once said, "I'd rather fail at something new than succeed at something old." That sentence captures everything. Ben & Jerry's reminds us that business can be joyful, principled, and profitable, all at the same time. And sometimes, the most serious impact comes from the most unexpected places, like an old gas station, selling ice cream with heart.